olives. And let's do some tomatoes. All right, and then cheese. And a little bit of oil. Go. Is he fixing me? What is he doing?
Perfect.
Practically perfect in every way.
In every way.
We're gonna go out to the beach for sunset. So we're eating, tonight we are going to eat matzah pizza, and we have some pineapple to put on it and some grape juice to drink, but we're gonna light the candles and then talk about Yeshua for a little bit before we go to the beach.
Okay.
So it's almost Shabbat, like I said. So, all right. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu, Melech haolam. Baruch atah Yeshua HaMoshiach, Melech haolam, and Baruch at Baruch HaKodesh, Melech haolam. In our book, one more time. And by the way, for anybody who's watching this, this is simply me being generous, inviting you to eat matzah with us during unleavened bread, to learn how to eat of Yeshua and just eat of him with us. And I'm just showing you kind of how we do it so that you can do it with your families. These are not full teachings on all of this stuff. And if you have some sort of snippy, snide, snarky comment, just go on to the next video in someone else's channel, okay? All right, this is it's just meant to show you how we dialogue and about this. And we're eating of Yeshua, who is the son of Yehovah Elohim. So he was made the bread to eat. He was prepared for us to eat. Okay. So unleavened bread is all about us eating of the one that was prepared for us to eat, the bread of life, the unleavened one. That's what this feast is all about. And so if you're not making matzah and eating of him while you're eating the matzah during this feast, then you're not doing this feast. If you're just eating matzah, you ain't doing this feast. Not as a new covenant believer in Yeshua. If you just eat the matzah, or if you just stay away from leaven, or just, do a bread fast, you are so not even participating in this feast. This feast is all about eating of Yeshua. He says it, I think he says 2 times in the Torah to not eat leaven during this feast. And he says 10 times during this feast you're supposed to eat unleavened bread. So there's so many more commands about you must eat unleavened bread. And it was all set up for us to eat of the unleavened one after he came. So anyway, so that's what this is about. Okay. All right, Hadassah, what's the next one? Can you zoom in, Maggie? Willing obedience is the next one, right, Hadassah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to eat some pizza while we eat of him and his willing obedience. So go ahead. We're going to finish our dinner later on the beach. Willing obedience. Let's see. Yeshua teaches us to obey Yehovah. Yeshua teaches us to obey Yehovah in Matthew 5:17. And that those who obey will be called great. Matthew 5:19. Okay, so willing obedience is a characteristic of Yeshua. Yeshua in Matthew 5:17, we see that he was obedient to the law. And he learned everything from his father. John 15:10. And he speaks only what Yahweh tells him to speak. He was obedient unto death. Philippians 2:8 says. He was zealous for Yahweh's law. Matthew 16:21-23. He removes leaven from his father's house twice.
Is that right?
Yeah, he did that story. He did that twice. If you look in the chronological Gospels,
Oh.
it says he cleans the temple twice. He tells us to give to Yahweh what belongs to him. Matthew 22:21. Give to Yahweh what belongs to him. So how do we know what belongs to Yahweh? If we throw out the Torah. If we throw out the actual words of Yahweh Elohim, how are we going to know what to give him? It's just going to be something we make up in our head.
Yeah.
Matzah pizza. I bet everyone has matzah pizza.
I bet so.
Mm.
Well, this one I have in my book,
Oh, good.
too.
Finally have it.
Wow.
I know. How about that?
Mm-hmm. He told us to obey Yehovah, not man.
Mm-hmm.
In Matthew 23:1-4, he says, "Do not follow the takanot and maasim of the Pharisees. Do what Moses told you to do." That's what he said actually in the Hebrew.
Right.
Matthew, when Shem Tov Hebrew, we know what he said right there. He told us to obey Yehovah, not man. So if the Messiah, who is our rabbi, was willingly obedient, and then he's telling us to be obedient as well to Yehovah, how can you throw out the Torah?
I don't know.
You can't.
Can if you're rebellious.
Yeah. You know, there's that rightly dividing thing you got to do to figure out what was nailed to the cross, because something did go away.
Right.
It's simply a matter of rightly dividing the word of truth. Figuring out what the actual covenant was, what was Plan B, the Levitical priesthood, what that was good for, why it was there, and when it became done, which was right at, the time when Yeshua was made high priest and king in the order of Melchizedek. I mean, super cool. So that's important to divide, to figure out what it is that remains. But the words of Yehovah, Exodus 19-24, that remains. That is what Yehovah, his own words. And Yeshua is saying, obey Papa. Do what Moses said. He says in John 7:16, I think that says.
Mm-hmm.
My message is not mine, but his that sent me. And then he kept all the moedim. Why? Just,
I don't know.
why would anybody keep... I don't understand why anybody would not keep what he did.
I know.
Because he was Jewish.
They say what would
Jewish.
Jesus do?
I know, but they don't even do it. that person that they say they follow does.
You're right about what you said. They think he was Jewish all his life, and then he got saved when he converted to Christianity.
Oh my gosh, bro.
That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard.
I know, isn't it?
Wow.
And so that he died to set us all free from the religion that he had kept his whole life.
That's messed up.
That's pretty messed
Oh
up.
man, that makes me mad.
I know.
Whoa.
I know.
What the heck?
I know.
I know. It's pretty sad. But I like this. Willing obedience as opposed to willing disobedience.
Oh!
Willing rebellion,
Right.
Hmm.
you know?
Willing rebellion. That's an interesting way to look at that. I haven't done before. Willing rebellion.
And then this also goes against, this cuts through the idea that he came to start his own thing, to start a new thing,
Right.
like to start a new religion.
Right. That he didn't come to start his own religion, that's huge, because most Christians think that he came to do away with everything his father spoke back then and start a new thing. In fact, and they believe that Shaul or Paul is, that drives me nuts. They almost talk like he's the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll obey Paul before I obey Yeshua. And Yeshua is clearly saying, obey Yehovah Elohim, the Father.
Right.
And Paul came to speak what Yeshua said. He didn't come to do something new or say something new. He was what Shaul was doing was trying to divide between, make division between what was remaining and what was done away with.
He didn't do that very clearly, though.
I know.
He caused a lot of confusion.
He did. He has. He is still.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the translators are not probably helpful in that area either.
Turn the heat on.
Yeah. I have obeyed my Father. Obey me and love each other. In John 15:10. I have obeyed my Father. Obey me and love each other. So if he obeys the Father, then we need to do exactly what he did.
Right. Yeah, I know. We shouldn't be ragging so much on one particular religion.
I know.
But they got this whole discipleship program.
I know.
Where they don't teach you to disciple Yeshua and do what he did.
Mm-mm.
They teach you to disciple themselves.
Them. Man-made religion.
Right.
Whatever that denomination is, whatever denomination is.
Right. But, okay.
You're right.
We
okay.
can go on and on.
I know.
Let's move on.
Well, we're eating of Yeshua. What we're doing is we're looking
let's start looking at him again.
We're looking at his willing obedience of what he said to do. So it is part of that. Okay, just a few stories here. Yeshua was about his father's business at age 12.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hadassah, are you old enough to obey Papa?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Are you old enough to obey Papa?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, because Yeshua was about his father's business at age 12. I think you have been about Papa's business since you were a little girl.
I just love his ways, the way he does, and I always will obey Yehovah for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, Hadassah. Well, here's another story. He was mikved by Yohanan to fulfill all right doings, all righteousness. So he was obedient by being mikved. Mm-hmm. He was obedient by being about his father's business. So, and then he had no other God before Yahweh by refusing Hasatan's offer during the temptations in the wilderness.
Right.
That's huge. So he was clean. He said no to other gods, and Hasatan has set himself up as a god. He kept the feasts according to the commandments. Mm-hmm. And the Torah commands us to remove the leaven from our house and assemblies, and he did so in the temple, his father's house, and then he did among the disciples when he, this week, 2,000 plus years ago, he got rid of the leaven in his fellowship with Judas. And he got rid of the leaven in the temple twice. And so he was obeying.
Yep.
In the garden before Pesach, not mine but yours. Not my will but your will. Remember?
That's right.
He was struggling and he's like, he came down to not my will but yours. So I love this because so if we look at Yeshua and we go, it's a characteristic of Yeshua, our rabbi, our high priest, the unleavened one, the bread of life, the one that we're supposed to eat of this season and eat of for all year long, but this is like a dedicated time to really think about this, that the bread that we're eating was willingly obedient to Yehovah Elohim. So therefore, what does this look? I mean, like, we need to be about our Father's business, about Papa's business. We need to be mikved in water, fire, and in the ruach. we should not have any other gods before him, before Yehovah. Never, and not say yes to Hasatan, but say no. We need to keep the feast according to the commandments. And we need to remove the leaven from our hearts, our lives, our fellowship. Yeah, Papa's done that for us.
Well, yeah.
We need to say, not my will, but your will, but Yehovah Elohim's will. That's a good one. I like that. This is where we start. This is all from that book, and then we start doing our own here.
Yeah,
So-
good one to start with.
Yeah, that's a great one. We'll have to add more.
And
But yeah,
I have, I think there's 2 more.
Okay.
I think
What?
he speaks only what Yahweh tells him to speak. But he removed leaven from his father's house.
That's right. From the temple. Remember when you got rid of the money changers?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that one, and I always copied out of your book, and I put
I know.
love of that.
Eat up, and then we're gonna go to the beach.
Beach?
For Shabbat. Yeah, after we eat, we're gonna go to the beach and watch the sunset, watch Shabbat come.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
Well, now you do.